All right, today is the day, and we are working on some laminations again today. The tub is still sitting on its side, left there while I went on a trip, but we are back to doing some laminations, and we're gonna look at today on all those vertical surfaces, or at least the surfaces that are all facing up right now. On that side, on the interior, we're gonna be working today, the interior of the tub, all those surfaces facing up. I did leave it on its side because I went on a trip, and while I was on that trip, happened to be in the neighborhood of one of the followers of the channel who has taken some of the template methods that we used originally to build our plug and doing his own version of a Lamborghini. We'll be looking at that towards the end of the video. But anyway, let's jump in and see how that lamination is going on the tub. Now with this tub on its side, it's a little bit easier to gain access to some of these areas, being that I can actually stand on solid ground too, rather than trying to bend over and reach into the tub. So we'll take that to our advantage, but we're just gonna scuff up the areas that we need to get our laminations on today. This is gonna be the tunnel and the entrance footwell area. So on that footwell door jamb area, I'm gonna be using these unidirectional fiberglass tapes that most of this seal and foot area have already been built up out of, because we're trying to use these unidirectional tapes to add kind of an I-beam structure tying our front and rear subframes through the tub. So these unidirectional tapes are going to run along that skinny area of that door seal, and they lap over in the front the panel where the front subframe will be bolting through, and then they come down along, like I said, along the door sill and then hit the rear bulkhead where we have our very large vertical laminate pieces in there that you've seen in a previous video. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover up all those pieces, those unidirectional tapes, with some plain weave S-glass cloth. Use the consolidation layer and make everything not smooth and pretty. And then up onto the top edge of the tunnel, we're going to put in a couple of layers of bidirectional fabric. This is a very heavy fabric with, like I said, unidirectional fibers placed at 90 degrees to each other. You'll be putting 2 layers in and then a couple of layers of the plain weave S-glass again to make that consolidation layer and make it so you can smooth things out. It usually helps with doing the stippling brushwork as well. And we'll get all these things. Now these fiberglass cloths are going to, of course, lap onto the floor and lap onto the bulkheads on the end. And then we will be doing the opposite to the next area, lapping onto this place that we're laminating today. So once we got our fiberglass all cut and placed, time to start putting resin on. And it's a matter of just really slopping this stuff on as fast as you can. Get it on pretty thick when you're doing this kind of lamination. Put it on dry and then laminate it, because we have to get this resin to soak through 4 layers of fiberglass. So put it on heavy and then come back and work it in. Do a lot of stippling. Stippling, which is of course a twisting and pressing of the brush, using it to move the fibers into the direction you want to, rather than just brushing back and forth, which kind of just drags the fibers one way and then drags them back the other way. You know, push down. We've got the bottom laminated, resin in there. So moving to the top. Same thing. Putting on the resin heavy, work our way across. Then we'll come back with a consolidating roller as well to work that resin down into the fiber as best we can. Go back to our brush, do our stippling, keep working that away. Now this tunnel has some pretty compound shape, some curves and some dips into it. So we have to keep just pushing, I said, that stippling action with that brush, pushing it down in, get it in until we get that thing thoroughly saturated, resin through it. And that's all it is, laminating these things. And here's just a pan seeing what we've done. From the front bulkhead onto the back, on the tunnel, and on that footwell. All right, I am in Provo, Utah this week, and just happened to have found or met up with Eeston, who happens to live in the area. And when you get to make those social media connections, which is part of the fun of social media as it is, and in YouTube, being able to meet up with people, like-minded people. And so we have Eeston here, who is a 17-year-old up-and-coming petrol head who happens to have a love or fascination with Lamborghini.
Love. Definitely love.
Anyway, Eeston is a Lamborghini aficionado, and so wanting to join that world, kind of similar story to my own, being young and wanting to get into that world, but probably didn't have 350 grand in the hand. So decided to take the route of building something himself. And so we're standing here in front of his Lamborghini that he is working on building. And he is using, like I've mentioned way back in some older videos, what I was told is called the Ditzler template method. It was something used in the aircraft industry, built up a lot in World War II in building fuselage. But here is his Lamborghini in construction. Rough in the plaster stage, but everything is rough in life until we get things smoothed out. So he is also using drywall plaster, which is super easy to sand. All he has to do is knock down the high spots and he'll be looking a lot prettier in just hours. Anyway, it is always good to meet up with people that have like interests. Always welcome to answer questions, see what other people are doing. So whenever I get these opportunities, it's fun to throw up what other people are working on in their projects. And we're going to talk Eeston into, of course, setting up some kind of social media presence so we can see his progress, and I'll maybe put those into a description or a little progress video maybe to introduce whatever he decides to do in social media. Maybe a YouTube channel coming up. Anyway, thanks for letting us see your project.
Yeah, of course.
Well, there are some more laminations. Of course, they are going to be lots more. And in fact, I will probably be skipping the video on a lot of that because it is so repetitive and just a repeat of what you've seen before, especially when we just flip it over and do the opposite side. But when I do find things that are a little bit different or need some description so that you can understand how the fiber orientations and the strength is built up in this tub, I will certainly be putting those into videos. But anyway, that is our video for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for coming by. Come back and see us again.